This demo will walk you through some of the key points and key features of Red Hat CloudForms. CloudForms has a self-service portal, which is a simplified view of the service catalog designed specifically for end users. When a user signs in, they will be presented with a dashboard. This is an overall view of the services, requests, and charges. Let's take a look at the service catalog. The service catalog lists all of the services available to the user. If they wanted to deploy a service, they would click on the service and add the service to the shopping cart. The provisioning process does not start until the user checks out. Clicking on the Orders menu shows us a list of all the services we've ordered. Clicking on an order will display the current status of the order, for example, provisioning steps or any errors. On the login page, you can add your own logo and custom text. This logo will also be shown after login in the upper right corner throughout CloudForms. Next, we'll take a look at the service catalogs. The service catalog contains catalog items, which can be a virtual machine, workflows, or a bundle of related catalog items that can be provisioned as a single service. For instance, we can deploy a LAMP stack, which will provision an Apache server and a MySQL server together under one service. Let's take a more detailed look at a catalog item. Here we'll edit the Windows Server 2012 catalog item to look at the details. Since this item will be provisioned in VMware, the item details will be specific for VMware. The item details will be hypervisor specific. We provide the name and description of the catalog item. The description is written in HTML. This is useful for formatting when viewed in the service catalog. Under Request Info, we can select the VMware template used to provision this item, the provision type, number of VMs, and the naming convention. Selecting the Environment tab allows us to choose a data center, cluster, resource pool, folder, host, and data store. Here we have selected None for our host, which will allow the virtual machine to be placed automatically on any host in the cluster. On the Hardware tab, we can customize the virtual machine hardware, limits, and reservations. On the Network tab, you can select the virtual network this item will be assigned to. On the Customize tab, you can select a VMware customization specification or manually specify the customization parameters. On the Schedule tab, we can set the lifespan of this VM. For instance, if we wanted to automatically retire this VM after 1 month, we can select 1 month from the dropdown. Let's look at another catalog item. I will quickly go through the item details. CloudForms supports multiple cloud, container, and on-premises providers. The cloud providers CloudForms currently supports are Amazon EC2, Azure, Google Compute Engine, and OpenStack. The supported infrastructure providers are Microsoft System Center, OpenStack, Red Hat Virtualization, and VMware vCenter. The supported container provider is OpenShift Container Platform. CloudForms security is based on role-based access control. If we look at the Access Control tab, we can see that access control is divided into users, groups, roles, and tenants. When we click on roles, we can see a list of default roles provided with CloudForms. You can add your own roles as well. Let's look at the administrator role. We can see the product features this role has access to. For comparison, we see that the self-service users role has limited access. Here's a look at users, groups, and tenants. CloudForms Active Directory integration allows you to manage access to CloudForms through the Active Directory. If we look at the Active Directory configuration, we can see that the parameters are typical for a standard LDAP setup. CloudForms also supports multi-forest authentication as well. LDAP group lookup is not cached. When a user is added to an Active Directory group, the group membership is immediately available to CloudForms. Let's move on to the chargeback feature of CloudForms. Chargeback reports can be generated and emailed automatically. Reports are based on user-defined rates and assignments at the compute and storage level. The rates can be charged in hourly, daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly increments. Here is a view of the storage rate. The rates can be assigned at the organization level down to the instance level. Here is an example of applying rate assignments for compute at the provider level, tenant level, and container level. Storage rate assignments follows the same process. We will now provision services through the admin interface. We select a service from the service catalog and order. The provisioning process starts immediately. Here we can see the status of that request. Let's order another service. This catalog item has been configured so the user can enter their own machine name, password, and virtual machine size. We will get a status update throughout the provisioning process. It only takes a few minutes to provision the machines. Here we can see the virtual machine we provisioned is up and running. We can also access the console to this machine as well. Here's a look at the other virtual machine we provisioned. CloudForms Lifecycle Management allows us to control the lifecycle of a virtual machine. For instance, cloning, live migration, and VM retirement. Here we're setting a date to automatically retire the virtual machine. We can also migrate this VMware virtual machine to another host in the cluster. CloudForms also stores utilization data for virtual machines, which we can view from the monitoring menu. Power management is done through the Power menu for the selected virtual machine. Optimization in CloudForms includes tasks such as viewing utilization trends, resource planning, and detecting bottlenecks. The reporting feature is very extensive. You can create a report based on almost any object or event within CloudForms. Here's a look at some of the reports provided by CloudForms. The dashboard in CloudForms is an at-a-glance view of your environment. You can customize the dashboard to fit your needs. Here's a look at some of the dashboard widgets. This was a look at Red Hat CloudForms.